Yeah, going on to your last season at Fresno State to the draft process, the draft night. What was that feeling like for you?
Oh man, you think about it. You worked all your life for this one moment, and you know the odds. I took sociology in college, and they tell you it's less than 0.1 chance of you getting drafted and then making the team and all that stuff. So you get a false sense of security because all the NFL teams come to your college and try you out. I was lucky enough to go to the combine, but they actually, after you leave the combine, they come and work you out personally. So I had the Rams, the Seahawks, Green Bay, um, Giants, of course, and I'm like, you don't know who's going to pick you. And they said I was projected anywhere from first to six, and we had 12 rounds back then. And honestly, I didn't care what round I got drafted in. I just wanted to have an opportunity. And that night before, though, Odessa Turner, who was ended up being a fourth round pick, and I was third, we were actually roommates because we had the same agent, and we're still good friends to this day because that was such a special moment because we did not know what was going to happen. And when you get that call, you don't wake up for the first round because you're not going to be in it. And I didn't even care, but I woke up later, and then they had it back then. It came across on the ticker tape, and it's before that. Parcells called me and asked me how did I feel about playing for the New York Giants, and I'm like, sure, coach, I'm excited. Well, I'm gonna say no. I want to really play for the Cowboys. That was the team I really wanted to play for, but once you get that call, you're just so like, wow, I got an opportunity, and that's all I ever wanted was an opportunity. I didn't care what round I got drafted in, but it
De-
was truly a special
Definitely,
moment when I got the call.
definitely. So later on in the 1990 season with the Giants, going to the Super Bowl, how was that process, and how was the team bonding throughout that season?
Well, I'll say this: that season to me was the year before. I believe we went to the playoffs and we lost to the Rams on the last play of the game, Flipper Anderson, and we knew we were a good team um, after that. And they projected us to go 8-8 the following year, but we knew what we had in that locker room. And I tell you, it was a lot of love in that locker room. Everybody pulled for each other. We all played for the next man. There was no selfishness. And it was a season of people that weren't starters doing their role, and that's the problem with some of these kids today. You got to know your role on the team and fulfill it. Quit trying to be the best player in the whole league. Be the best player for your team. And I say that to say that Otis Anderson was not a starter at the beginning of the season. Neither was I. My teammate went down the third game of the season, Odessa Turner, and then I finished the season. Um, who else was injured? Oh, of course, the quarterback, Phil Simms went down, so Jeff Hostetler had to take over. So we all knew our role, and Parcells had to always say, "Next man up, be ready." Don't complain about not being a starter. When your time comes, be ready. And we were a team back then. I often tell people, if you want to see a great game that exemplifies teamwork, watch the championship game against the 49ers. Nothing pretty, all field goals, but everybody contributed some way or another for us to get that victory out of that game. They had the superstars, Joe Montana, Rathman, Jerry Rice. We had Stephen Baker, Mark Ingram, who only caught 32 passes the whole year. He caught 34. I think I caught 31 or something like that. It's the lowest ever tandem to ever make a Super Bowl. But you think we cared? We didn't care one bit, man. It was all about just going out, doing the job, winning games, and it got us a Super Bowl.
Definitely. I don't think a lot of people know this, but Tom Coughlin was the receiver coach for that championship year. How was he in the locker room to you guys, and what did he preach to help you motivate to be successful?
Well, I'm sure you've heard the stories. If you're 15 minutes late, 15 minutes early, you're late. So actually, when Tom came there, man, he changed it. He flipped it on its head, and we had never been coached like that before. And the discipline that he taught us was second to none, and we couldn't stand him for it because we didn't have a break, man. Usually, when they would do 9-on-7, which is goal line, that would be our chance to get our rest. He would go get a backup quarterback and take us down to the end of the field and run goal line routes and slants and stuff like that. And we actually took tests the night before the game, written and oral tests
Oh,
before the game.
jeez.
And, we didn't like him for that, but in all honesty, man, it was the best thing we ever could have done, because when we got into the games, they could not do anything to us that we had not seen. As a receiver, you have to look for the two people coming off the weak side. If you're the weak receiver, see which two are coming, and if we got the coverage or the linemen to pick it up. And he had us knowing what the linemen know and what the quarterbacks know, and we had to know down and distance what type of front. The front would give us a tip to the coverage. I mean, we had fun. Mark Ingram and I, we would be out there chopping it up. Bake, they can't do it. Stay on. And it was just a lot of fun. So he was a great motivator. But as I said before, we had to learn to love him.
Definitely. Did you see that? Did you see that run for him being the head coach of the Giants?
I did not. I knew he always had it in him, because when he left us and went to Boston, I told one of the players that called me or something. I told him, "Boy, you guys are gonna be in for it." And I knew he always had it in him, because he never left any stone unturned. And he always said this. He said, "I believe in the Larry Bird work ethic." And so you know what that means. Larry probably wasn't the most talented athlete, but he worked harder than anybody to be the best. And ultimately, man, that's what wins games and makes you a better player. That's what I preach to the kids, man. How you gonna work? How you gonna work out when nobody's looking?
Definitely.
People having Thanksgiving dinner, I go run bleachers. People opening up their Christmas presents. I bet you they're not working out like me. That's how I used to look at stuff too.
Hey, I bet you Tom Brady is probably wishing he would have won those 2 Super Bowls against the Giants. I've heard some of the reports that he's done, like he'd give up like 1 championship ring just for that 18-1 season they went.
I can imagine, man. And I got to tell you, post retirement, those were the 2 greatest seasons I think I've ever witnessed. And now that I'm a fan, it was so rewarding to witness the Giants win those 2 in the fashion that they did it, because that's Giant football, man. We never do it pretty, but we just get the job done. And I know it has to sting Brady a little bit, but come on, look how many he got though, really. And he has opportunity to get some more.
Definitely. On that topic, do you think Eli Manning is a first-round ballot Hall of Famer?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm not saying that because I'm a big fan and everything. I watched him his first game here, man, and his first 4 seasons, I want to say. He wasn't really, on point. He made a lot of mistakes, but he never badmouthed anybody. When the big games happen, he always shows up for the playoff games. I don't care what anybody says. And you need a big play, Eli will make it. And I always say that no look pass that he does like this, he takes a mental picture of where that receiver should be, and he can throw it and duck his head and fall down and everything, and somehow he will complete it. And I sure hope he does, because he's all class. And his numbers, man, come on, some guys are in there with less.
But you gotta remember that the interceptions, he's like I believe it's top 10 in interceptions.
Okay.
That's killer.
That's killer, but you don't think that Super Bowl MVP and winning it twice can offset that a little bit?
It was David Tyree and Mario Manningham won them championships for him.
So it was luck.
Pretty much. It's
right,
like it's like Brady with Julian Edelman that catch Super Bowl 51 with the Falcons.
Okay. And
up the middle.
I remember. And you know what I say to that, Zach? I'd rather be lucky than good any day, bro.
Hey, luck
and those
runs
interceptions
out, man.
that he threw, I guarantee you the receivers are not upset, because I mean they was putting that pill up in the air. But no, that's a great argument. We'll see. Time will tell. But I really think he will be, based on those 2 championships and how long he played, and he never missed a game, dude. He was always there.
His last couple of years, he missed some time.
No, they took him out. Remember?
Yeah, but that's still
But I mean,
missing
remember
time.
when they killed this streak?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wrong. That wasn't even called for. And then when Daniel Jones came, of course, they were going to pass the torch. But look how he bowed out gracefully. I don't know. He's just all class to me, man. I
He
can't say
is.
anything bad about him. He's like my child.
I I understand that. With Daniel Jones, him being from that same Cudcliffe tree, I think that's the reason why they picked him from Duke. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I heard that they've been watching him ever since he was in high school, and he's been going to all the Eli or Peyton Manning camps and stuff. So if Peyton or Eli recommended, and primarily Peyton, if Peyton says, "Hey, Giants, this guy is, you think my brother was good, this guy is a little better," and I have to agree because of his mobility. That was one knock against Eli. He didn't have he didn't have mobility to get outside the pocket. But Daniel Jones, to me, I like what he can do and keep plays alive.
Why are they trying to move away from him though? That's the thing that gets me.
What
Like
do you mean
these,
move away?
like they're putting him on the hot seat.
Oh, well, you know how it is, man. Where do you live at?
I'm in North Carolina.
All right, so things are a little bit slower back there. New York don't play, man. They
I
want it
know that's the
now.
spotlight. Yeah,
I know they
I
want it now.
understand.
And it's what it is this is the third season. We surrounded you with talent. Now it's time for you to go make it happen. Now the only thing that I don't like is I don't like how they, and sure, the players, they want to be out there playing and practicing. I don't like how they wait till the last preseason game to let them play 2 quarters. Because to me, when the season starts, those first 3 games are going to be like get your feet wet. You know what I'm saying?
For
You know,
sure.
back in our day, man, Parcells said, you got to play, man. I mean, injuries always were a part of the game, and you can't be all uptight about them. I know you're paying these guys a lot of money and whatnot, but you see it happening all the time. Guys getting hurt off non-contact injuries, like Evan Ingram. He was just blocking somebody, and then he ran up the field. Now he has a torn calf muscle, and he's questionable for this week's game. And I'd say that because they don't you don't practice full speed, and your body develops a certain type of tolerance when you're banging. You know what I mean? And you get in the game and
Definitely.
try. We were always told this by Parcells: don't try to turn it on Sunday because it won't work. You have to do it now in practice.
Hey, there's that. Parcell was a great coach, and Bill Belichick's the same way. They're both cut from the same cloth.
Yes.
But like in the pliability aspect is a real stretching and whatnot. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of alleviates some of those injuries. Do you think that's the reason why some of those injuries occur?
Well, me and my boy Otis Anderson, we talked about it. We really think that sometimes these kids, and I understand you got to outwork someone to be the best, but when the off season was over for us, when we had those, what is it, 2 or 3 months off, you're supposed to relax, man. You know what I'm saying? And then like a month before training camp or whatever, then you start ramping it up to get ready. These kids, it's all year round, and you think about it, the human body is just not meant to take that type of pounding, you know what I'm saying? Just over and over and lifting weights all day. And so we really think they need to rest their bodies before the season starts or when training camp starts, because they working too hard. And like you said about stretching, I'm a firm believer of that. They all need to get some type of yoga instructor or something like that. And because I was a gymnast in high school, and I know about stretching. That is huge.